Hello everybody and welcome back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. So now we are in the second part of the trial. March 22nd, 2:14 p.m. District Court Defendant Lobby number 3. Dude, I can't believe that Adrian? No way. Not cool collected Adrian Andrews. She's our manager. It would have been very easy for her to pull this off. The only person who had easy access to the knife used for dinner was her. So after the ceremony during the break, huh? I was sleeping like a log the entire time. See, she could have also planted that blood-covered button on your hakama. Because she was the one that came to wake me up? Then dude, you're saying it was really her? Yes, she's a real killer. She was the one who murdered Juan Corrida. But why? I thought she was buds with Juan. She has her own agenda. Her own agenda? What are you talking about? I'm sure you'll see by the time this trial's over. It'll be alright. We'll get you acquitted by the end of today. Give me a verdict that's refreshing like a spring breeze, okay, Mr. Lawyer Dude? Phoenix? You think her motive is related to Celeste Impact's missing suicide note, right? Yes. Sandra's depended on Miss Impact as her strength and reason to live. Then Miss Impact suddenly killed herself. Sounds like she left the suicide note and the person thought to have hidden it. It's Juan Corrida, the victim of this murder. That's why I think that Miss Andrews got close to Mr. Corrida, all to get the suicide note back. It sounds plausible, but one thing bothers me. What? Who was it that first told us about their relationship? Better stated, Miss Andrews' dependency issues with regards to Miss Impact's. It was Edgeworth. It looks like he's still the one in command of the ship. Don't let your guard down yet. March 22nd, 2:25 p.m. District Court Courtroom number 3. Court will now reconvene. Now then, Miss Edgeworth, if you please. The prosecution calls its witness subpoenaed by this court. Miss Adrian Andrews, the person who discovered the crime in Mr. Juan Corrida's room. What is your occupation? I am the manager of the defendant in this case, Mr. Matt Ungard. I see. Now then. Before we begin, Your Honor, I have one request. Yes, sure. What is it? I'm sure everyone in this room is wondering the same thing, and would love to find out more about my relationship with the victim. After all, it was the topic of a certain weekly magazine recently. No, I have no idea what you mean. Never even heard of Gossip Land. If the judge was ever a prosecution witness, he'd do all my work for me. Anyway, I was wondering if you could please tell us about your relation to the victim. Yes, I was seeing Mr. Corrida. I was also aware of the rivalry that existed between Matt and Juan. But this is a private matter between Juan and myself. So it was a fry and bait matter, or a bait and fry. Reminds me of fishing. But I didn't kill him. No one is accusing you of that. I think there's someone who would beg to differ. I think we all understand your relationship with the victim now, Miss Andrews. Very well then, witness. Please testify to the court about what happened when you discovered the murder that had taken place. Alright, Samus, what you got? It was time for the show to start, so I went to get Matt from his room. After that, I went to Juan's room. There was his dead body. I was in shock. What I saw was naturally the exact same scene in the crime scene photo. I felt as though I was about to faint, so I poured myself a glass of juice. You poured yourself a glass of juice? You poured yourself a glass of juice? Yes, sadly, I didn't remember not to touch things at the scene of a crime, and I disturbed the crime scene by moving this one thing. And that is when the fingerprints on the wine glass were made, Your Honor. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Phoenix, she's one cool and collected customer. She has the brains to match. Yes, I know. In order to catch a person like her, you need to avoid head-on confrontations. You should disrupt her pacing. She's the type of woman who's easily thrown off by things inconsistent with her thinking, so you have to attack when she least expects it. The instant you let up on your offense, the instant this trial is over. Understand? Well, it's business as usual for me. Talk to me. And what was Mr. On-Guard doing at the time? He was taking a nap. He was worn out from his mid-performance as the Nickel Samurai during the ceremony. Mr. On-Guard did say he was taking a nap. Then I guess you could say it could not have been taken... Then I guess you could say it could not have been taken out of his room, yes? Excuse me? It? What are you... Right. I thought years of school would have taught you how to construct a sentence. If you can't make a sensible sentence with a subject, then I'll make one for you. Watch. Did you, Miss Andrews, remove Miss On-Guard's knife from his room? No. Subject, verb, object, right. Did you skip basic grammar? The witness may continue. Classic Edgeworth. You can't even be mad at the guy. And why did you do that? It's a friendly gesture. Juan was to make an appearance with the other heroes. So the show was supposed to be a show of friendship, huh? Is that the only reason? I beg your pardon. What are you implying? You had a certain goal in mind when you started to get close with him, correct? So perhaps you had more personal matter to discuss with the victim. Sorry, but I didn't have any such intentions in mind at the time. Can't get her to talk with a strong piece of evidence, I guess. May we continue now? Witness, what did you see when you got to his room? You were in shock. What? Was I not supposed to be? Sanders is a very calculating person. And despite how close they were, I doubt she had any romantic feelings for Mr. Corita. Anyone randomly stumbling upon a dead body would be in shock. And you can't seriously expect that a young beauty like her would not be shocked. Somehow, I don't think beauty has anything to do with being shocked or not. I see. What I saw was natural. Yeah, we get it. This is the photo you're referring to, correct? Yes, the one with the knife lodged in his chest. And the guitar case was like this too? Yes, it was open and empty, of course. And then, what did you do next, witness? I felt, yeah, we get it. Juice. Yes, there was a bottle of tomato juice on the table, so I helped myself. But you didn't drink any of it, did you? Huh? There were no lip marks left on this wine glass to suggest that anyone drank from it. I wasn't feeling terribly great, so I set the glass down without drinking it. Sanders, I would like to confirm with you one more time. You discovered the dead body of Mr. Juan Corita. You were in great shock, and that's when you poured yourself the glass of juice, correct? And what of it? My mind really was a complete blank at the time. Your mind was a complete blank. I didn't think that was possible for you. Aren't you rude today? I was so dazed that I made one careless mistake. That one thing. What one thing? Never mind. It's no big deal. What was you trying to say just now? Miss Andrews, I'm convinced that, as you said, you made a mistake at the crime scene. What I really want to know is what this mistake was. Actually, so would I. I'm sorry, it's kind of embarrassing. When I set the glass down in the dresser, I accidentally knocked the flower vase over. Flower vase? Are you talking about the one on the floor in the crime photo? This mess of glass shards? It was originally on top of the dresser, but when I bumped into it, my elbow, it fell onto the guitar case. Why did you withhold such an important piece of information? I'm sorry. I thought that since the crime scene was already in disarray, that people would simply assume the vase was just another part of the mess. It looks like yet another fact has come to light here. Please add this and anything else you have to reveal to your testimony. Sorry, but I have nothing more to add. I didn't touch anything else. What kind of flower vase was it? It was a glass vase. It was fairly big and heavy. I thought I would try to take Juan's pulse. So I set the glass, was holding onto the dresser, and that's when my elbow accidentally hit the vase. It's odd. Asha was always in total control of herself. That's what she would like people to think. Always being mindful of the gap between your perception and reality. Doesn't sound like there's any glaring contradiction to testimony just now. I warned you earlier that you will not crack so easily. The only way to make her is to keep on the offensive and not let up. The only way you're going to catch her is with some very strong, decisive evidence. Find something. Have to, for Maya's sake. Oh. Objection! There's water on it. You testified that you knocked the flower vase over. Is this correct? Sorry. Yes? And are you sure it fell onto the guitar case? Is there some problem with what I said? It's not some problem. It's a major problem. It's true that the top of the guitar case was wet with water. However, that's exactly what's so strange. Miss Andrews, you testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case. However, that was true. The case should have gone one on the inside, not the outside. That's very true. Furthermore, there is one other strange thing about this guitar case. And what is that? Let's take another look at the crime scene photo. The remains of the vase are scattered on the floor. And what's wrong with that? If the guitar case was open and the vase fell, there'd be some glass shards inside. The glass shards should be inside, not outside the case. What is your point, Wright? That the case was closed at the time the vase was knocked over. Is that all? No. Think back to what Miss Andrews testified to. She said that other than the vase, she didn't touch anything else. Yes, that's right. She did implicitly say she didn't touch the guitar case. But this whole matter with the guitar case is a dead end. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. It has no bearing on the case at all. That may very well be, however. The guitar case does seem to have no relation. It seems that there was no deeper meaning to the guitar case. Well, Mr. Wright, do you think we need to hear more details about the guitar case? Yeah, let's hear some. The empty guitar case. I believe this is a crucial piece of the puzzle. I can't believe anyone would reach for straws like that, but it is you. Can't believe I'm doing this either. Alright, I'll follow along for now. Miss Andrews, please testify to the court about the guitar case. Yes, Your Honor. I don't remember too clearly, but I was a bit dazed. I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. It's not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. After why I opened the case, I don't even know. Huh. It looks like it wasn't a very important point. This wastefulness is such a familiar feeling right now. It's almost comforting. Anyway, I'll just go ahead and start the cross-examination. Using any way to change the topic, a convenient escape for a weak man. Let's save game. During your testimony just now, did you remember those events clearly in your mind? Well, you see... Are you sure you are the one who opened the guitar case? She's waiting for someone to tell her if she should answer or not. Sounds like her dependent side is taking over. Well, Miss Andrews? Yes, it was me. So you opened the guitar case then? Yes, well, maybe... Why did you open the guitar case? Huh? Mr. Corrida's dead body was right there in front of you, wasn't it? I would think that the first thing you would do is call for help, not open a guitar case. As the witness said multiple times when she found the dead body, she was dazed. Maybe I was curious to know if the Wright guitar was alright or not. I thought maybe the criminal took it. Why would would she care about the Wright guitar? But getting back on topic. Was it really empty? I was just wondering if maybe when you opened the case, the guitar was still inside. How long have you been a lawyer, Mr. Wright? The Wright guitar was found at the studio. These trials would be over in half the time if you would just pay attention. Yes, pay more attention, Mr. Wright. Sorry. Was that because you were shocked and dazed at discovering the victim's body? Yes, that's probably it. I'm not gonna get anywhere if I continue pressing her like this. I'll make copies of the evidence. Try to give it a try. Come on, Phoenix, we can't afford to let up on her now. I wasn't planning on letting up, but she's at her weakest now, so this is our chance. If we had a weapon to hit her with. I'm sure a weapon is hiding somewhere in the court record, waiting to be found. It says it bears Corita's fingerprints, so... There is no way you were the one who opened the guitar case. Why would you say that? It's elementary, my dear. Because the only fingerprints on this guitar are those of the victim. What is she holding? What is it, Miss Andrews? You shouldn't assume I must have left prints on it because I touched the case. What do you mean? What if I were to tell you that I was wearing gloves at the time? Gloves? Why would you be wearing gloves at the time? It was the night of the awards ceremony, so of course I dressed up for the occasion. Yes, now I remember. I'm almost sure I was wearing a pair of thin gloves. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, since the witness was wearing gloves. Oh, that is strange. Because guess who else was supposedly wearing gloves? The murderer. You were wearing gloves. Isn't that a little strange? Why is that strange? Do you have something that would prove I was not wearing gloves at the time? I was not wearing gloves. You're not wearing gloves. Would that work? To prove that you were not wearing gloves. What proves that you weren't wearing gloves? Oh, yeah, this. You have fingerprints on that. I have the proof right here. This wine glass. The wine glass? You left your fingerprints very clearly on this wine glass. Even if you took your gloves off when you poured yourself this glass of juice, wouldn't you think it was just a bit strange that you put your gloves back on just to open the guitar case? Order! Order! Looks like you hit the nail on the head this time. What do you mean? I believe that guitar case plays a very important role here. It's just an empty case. I wonder if it really was empty, though. But the Wright guitar was at the studio. Phoenix, drop all your presumptions. What was in the guitar case was not the Wright guitar. Oh, you don't mean... It was a bright white guitar! Wait, that's not right either. I must admit, it would be unnatural for someone to do that. The witness was not wearing gloves despite the fact of the case. Your Honor, this is obviously the defense's usual misdirection tactic at work. Steer the court towards an unrelated topic and then lull all of us into his misguided... No, Your Honor. Please recall that Miss Andrews had testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case, which means the case was closed when the crime took place. However, it was wide open in the photo of the crime scene. I am sure this guitar case has some relation to the murder. If you are so sure, right, then I'm sure you can somehow substantiate your outrageous claim, correct? Please, enlighten us as to why the guitar case has anything to do with this murder. Can you do that, Mr. Wright? Well, let's suppose for a second that the bright red guitar was not the only thing that could have been in the case. The bright red guitar not being the only thing? You don't mean to suggest it was a black guitar? So, you intend to push your theory that the case was not empty, is that it, right? I wouldn't say something I didn't intend to prove. Deflate that head of yours. You haven't proven anything yet. Now then, let's have it. What was inside the case at the time of the murder? What was in the case? What was in the case? What could have been in the case? No, definitely not. That'd be weird. No. Could have been Lotta's camera? No. No, Wendy had that. Or you couldn't have been in the case. It wasn't the blood-covered button. It wasn't the knife. Lotta's photo was in the camera. It wasn't any of these. Transceiver, that's just not right. Powers had this. What was inside this case? What if it was a person? That'd be crazy. Nah, that's not possible. The only thing that it could technically be is this. It's not this, it's not this. No, 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 no. This could be. And everything else has an alibi. The only thing it could have been was this. But even still, that's strange, dude. I wish I saved my game. We'll go back and save after this. And why would something like that be inside a guitar case? Let alone this one. Why, Mr. Wright? Why? Well, that is automatically possible. Oh my gosh. I have a suggestion. Why don't you put that in the void where your brain is supposed to be? Yes, and never bring it out again. You know, foolish fool, get some love. Oh, sure. Okay, what could have been the case? It's not that. Knife? Man, I'm kind of lost. Okay, what could have been in the case? Check and mate, baby. Yeah, no, of course that's not it. It's not Lotta's camera. It's not Lotta's photo. At this point, I'm just trying to do anything that could technically be possibly in the case. What if it was the wine glass? How funny that would be. Okay, let's see. No. Absolutely. Okay, are you ready for this insane play?
Objection! Take that!
Insane play. The guitar case was in the guitar case.
Objection!
Maybe the crime photo was.
Take that!
Okay, I'm so lost. I have no idea what it's supposed to be, so I'm just gonna go through every piece of evidence I have. You know what? It was this!
Take that! Objection!
It was...
Take that! Objection! Take that!
Okay, let's see. What have we not done yet?
Objection!
We haven't done this. We've done this, 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 this. We've done this, this, that. The photo. We did. Did we do the knife? I think we did the knife. I don't know what it could be, man. We did the button. We didn't do the knife, right? Okay, well now we did.
Objection!
I don't want to say this, but I'm going to.
Take that! Objection! Take that!
Whoa, what? This is a photograph. Yes, but what is important is not what's in the picture. But what is important is what is in that picture, Your Honor. In this picture? It doesn't take a genius to see what I mean. I thought it couldn't have possibly been the photo, because the photo was found in the camera, which was with Wendy, so... Okay, well, show me why I'm wrong. It does take a genius to see what I'm proposing. Inside the guitar case was the Nickel Samurai, the hero's very own costume. What? Oh, you mean that? Mr. Wright, explain yourself. Right? Are you saying the witness opened the guitar case to take out a costume? What insane point would be to do something like that? That insane point would be to wear the costume, of course, and Miss Andrews put it on to hide her identity so she could make her escape. After all, you couldn't let anyone else see you leave, could you, Miss Andrews? Refuse to accept your theory. You have anything to support such a preposterous idea? Just outside the door was an investigative photographer who was starving for a big scoop. And in the end, she managed to get this shot, correct? You mean this photo? Huh. Order! Order! Looks like we've wandered into quite another mess again, haven't we? Nice job, Phoenix. You know my strategy. Speak first, think later. So the real murderer was hiding inside a costume. Wait 1 second, Your Honor. The Nickel Samurai costume would have been Mr. Matt on guards. Why would something of the defendant be in the victim's room, and inside the guitar case of all places? True, this is a little baffling. Mr. Wright, the court would like to hear your thoughts. What was this Nickel Samurai's costume doing inside the guitar case? Stolen, because it's mismatched size. I think it might have been stolen from On Guard. Stolen? But why would someone do such a thing? Maybe the thief wanted to interfere with the post-ceremony stage show. Or, and so if he didn't have his costume, then Mr. On Guard would be forced to go naked. Well, that's not exactly the point I was thinking. Maybe you should be stripped naked and run out for making a mockery of this court. Excuse me? Mr. Man on Guard did not take his costume off after the awards ceremony. He even testified that he took a nap while still wearing his costume. Is this not correct? Oh yeah, he did say something like that, didn't he? That's what I thought. Let's try one more time, shall we, Wright? I would like to hear your thoughts. Fine, it was a spare. Mr. On Guard did not take his costume off during the break period. In that case, the costume we were talking about was a spare one. What? Then, are you saying that on the night of the murder, there were 2 Nickel Samurai costumes at the Gatewater Hotel? Yes, that is what I'm saying. And how do you explain the costume that was inside the guitar case? It would mean that the victim himself had brought this spare to the ceremony on purpose. But why? The victim, Mr. Korita, was the Jammin Ninja. Why would he secretly bring the Nickel Samurai spare costume with him? What could be the reason behind such a peculiar act? Therein lies the sticking point. What do you mumbling to yourself about now? Have you just been rambling all this time without any sense of inner monologue? Huh? No, I just... Mr. Wright, please explain yourself. Why do you think the victim had the Nickel Samurai spare costume? Phoenix, are you sure you can explain this one? Think carefully behind your answer, and then answer with gusto. I believe in you. Alright, this is what I think. The reason the victim brought Nickel Samurai spare was... for the... What's this? On the night of the murder, after the stage show, the Nickel Samurai was going to hold a special press conference. A press conference? Yes, the Nickel Samurai is supposed to confess something at this conference. I heard about this as well. For once, you're not making something up, right? But what struck me as strange was that Mr. On Guard himself said he had no idea that it was supposed to be holding a press conference that night. Which, how can that be? The way I see it, it can only mean one thing. The conference was set up by none other than the victim, Mr. Juan Corrida himself. The victim? Yes. The spare Nickel Samurai costume was prepared for that very conference. Mr. Corrida was going to hold the press conference as the Nickel Samurai. He was going to dress up as the Nickel Samurai and hold a conference? But why would the victim do such a thing? That's something I don't quite know yet, however. What I am concerned with right now is what he intended to reveal at that conference. The Nickel Samurai was going to confess something. And by confess, I wager he was going to reveal something about himself. Which means that Juan Corrida, posing as the Nickel Samurai, was going to speak about Matt. Yes, I guess that's what it would mean. But if that's the case, that's not a confession, that's public disclosure. Miss Andrews, I can see why you oppose at what you do. Pardon me? Yes, just as you say, the press conference was set up by Juan. Miss Andrews, please offer us an explanation for this. I was the one he asked to help set it up. And the person who prepared the second costume for him, that was also me. You? Juan had bet everything on the Jammin Ninja this year. And if he lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure Matt was going down with him. That's what he thought anyway. He was going to ruin him? Huh. And it looked like somehow Juan had in his hands a secret so powerful that it would destroy Matt's acting career had it been revealed. What? Oh, yeah, the thing. And do you know what the secret of Mr. On Guard is, Miss Andrews? That's something only Juan knew. I don't know what it is. I see. I've probably been coming off quite suspicious to everyone, but that's to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt, after all. Protect Mr. On Guard? And yet again, another strange bit of truth comes to light, it seems. Miss Andrews, if you could, please tell us about your behavior. Yes, Your Honor, I understand. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Matt had to kill Juan no matter what, and he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt I had to protect him. Huh. This does account for everything. Well, I am the logical type. Finally seeing her true self. She's more nervous than a scared rabbit. If the defense can find no fault in this testimony, I'm ready to make a ruling. Please keep that in mind as you cross-examine Mr. Wright. Looks like somehow everything has swung to the opposite end of the scale again. This means I have to put my weight and turn a logic upside down. Talk to me. Would you say that was your intuition speaking to you? Don't confuse my methods of reasoning with your own. If you want to prove that someone did something, you need 3 things. 3 things. A motive, an opportunity to commit the crime, and finally, decisive evidence. If you think these 3 things through, the answer becomes quite clear. You should have already known that, Phoenix. Teach that to us in school? At least not from what I remember. May I continue now? So, you would say this need came from the press conference? Yes, do you know what Juan chose that event at the hotel for the conference? Because that was when he could cause the most damage to the public's beloved Matt. And you knew of this plan, didn't you, Miss Andrews? Yes, because I was the one who set up the conference to prepare the costume. But I'm sure Mr. On Guard himself didn't know anything about the press conference. Oh, really? Can you show me any proof that he didn't know about the press conference? Anyway, the important thing here is the information that was not in your testimony. Yes, I agree. Miss Andrews, please correct your testimony, if you please. Grasping at straws now, are we, Mr. Wright? Has Mr. On Guard done something that hurt you or betray you personally? Why do you ask? You were the one who helped Mr. Corrida with his press conference, and that event was supposed to bring down Mr. On Guard, yet you helped out. The person on trial right now is Mr. On Guard, right? What the witness was thinking helping the victim with his plan is none of our concern. In any case, this means the defendant had a motive to kill. Why do I keep doing this to myself? Didn't you already testify earlier? Sorry, that Mr. On Guard was taking a nap in his room? Are you telling me that now that too was a lie, so you could cover for Mr. On Guard? I'm not telling you anything of the sort. When I went to get him for the show, he honestly was sleeping. However, as to whether he was sleeping the entire time, that I cannot say. I was too busy setting up the stage at the time. I keep trying, but I can find no flaws with what Miss Andrews is saying. Can't say the same for some people in this courtroom, however. Just glaring at Mia. He's glaring at you, smart guy. You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. The fingerprints on the knife could very well be a clever camouflage. Then what about the button? The button? It's clear that the crime scene and the victim and the murderer fought, and during the fight, the killer ripped the button off the gentleman in his costume. You're talking about this button, correct? The button that was found in the pleats of Matt's Akama. Is that correct? I would think that makes it very decisive evidence. Let's keep her out, Fox, again, Mr. Wright. Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony. I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat. Thank goodness me, he can still look at me. With an icy stare, yes. Miss Andrews, for Mr. Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony. And how do you know that? When the ends of the thread of the button and the cuts were matched up, they were found to fit together perfectly, well, so I heard. I've heard that before too. Why would Miss Andrews know about this case in such a fine detail? Don't look at me, just because I'm prepared and you're not. I had this time for sure. If there's anything to trip her up, what would it be? Where and what? This is what bothers me. What you really did was stab the guy in the back, didn't you? And at the worst possible time. Who's to say she stabbed the guy in the back, as you put it? This witness could have disclosed things about Mr. Unguard at any time. Why then would she wait until there was a large audience before doing so? It's the same reason why Mr. Corrida planned such an elaborate conference. Mr. Andrews wanted to cause Mr. Unguard as much damage as he possibly could. The witness bears ill will towards the defendant. This isn't the Phoenix Wright Wax Philosophical Power Hour. And please, stop slandering the witness. As I expected, Miss Andrews' testimony seems pretty solid. Really? Because to me it sounded a little wishy-washy. Wishy-washy? Well, I guess we'll see if I press her a little more. You should know this by now, but you'll need strong and decisive evidence to make her talk. Got it, Chief. I'm gonna pin you down this time, Miss Andrews. Alright, so, let's see. Moment of the crime scene, you had a feeling, just a feeling. You didn't know what the motive was, but I don't have to prove any, but I don't have any way to prove I'm right. He didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder, and that button was torn off during the fight, and you felt the need to protect him, which that's what bothers me. Why in the world would you help him? It's kind of goofy. Let me save my game again, just because I want to make sure I capture the new stuff too. I've pressed her on everything, and nothing really came about it, so now we just get to the phase where we just go about everything, so you felt that I had to protect him. Why? Protect how? You had a feeling Matt was the murderer. Goodness gracious. Like, I can't do anything with that. You don't know what the motive was. You didn't have an alibi. I mean... The button was torn off of Juan during his fight with Matt. Don't buy that line. That line is what's messing. That's what's messing me up. No. Sadly, not quite. Sadly, just for fun, I thought he would propose the idea that it was planted. But yeah, no, not quite. What shows that she didn't like Matt? Sadly, it's not that either. I wish. That doesn't prove anything yet. We're gonna get there, though. What do I do, man? I don't know what his motive was, and I don't have any way to prove I'm right. Don't know what his motive. So she feels that Matt's the murderer, and then just decides that maybe. And he doesn't even know about the conference, so why would he even kill Corita? He doesn't even know about the conference. Sadly, I don't have any way of providing that. That's the issue. He didn't have an alibi for what he was doing. He was snoozing, apparently. Bruh. Of course that wasn't gonna work. It'd be funny if it did, though. So I feel like I had to protect him. What does that mean? The world does that mean? My goodness gracious. Okay, I don't think this is the right line. Let's go back here. From the moment you had a feeling, somehow. Don't know what the motive was. Doesn't have a way to prove it. He didn't have an alibi either. Button was torn off of with the fight. And you feel like you had to protect him. I don't agree with this line. Why would you help with the stage show if you wanted to help him? Now your instincts just kick in and you just want to help the guy? Like, I don't get it. That's not it either. Good, it's gracious. Oh, what in the world can I prove? This ain't it. Remember when the autopsy report was like a valuable piece of evidence and now it just isn't anymore? What's even the point of autopsy reports these days? There's Corita's fingerprints. Dang it. I don't want to look it up, dude. I don't want to do it, but there's just something wrong with this line here. There's just something wrong with it. Blam. Got it. Dude. Maybe I'm thinking that this. Maybe I'm thinking about it wrong. Okay, no. Sadly not. We're just gonna forget about the mismatched outfit. What do I do? It's torn off during his fight with Juan. I'm throwing anything and everything here. I'm just trying to look it up. I'm totally clueless. There's so many things that I have that I'm like iffy about, but I can't find a thing to prove it. I hate looking it up. Trust me, I hate looking it up, but I don't want to waste y'all's time. Bro, no shot.
Objection!
The autopsy report actually does something. I wasn't expecting that. I was just saying, when have autopsy reports actually been helpful in this game? And the moment I say that, it was actually the autopsy report the whole time. That's funny. This is the victim's autopsy report. It clearly states that the cause of death was strangulation by a scarf. Strangulation? The knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died. And what does that mean? Let's examine the evidence. This button has the victim's blood on it, which means that if it was ripped off the costume, when? After the knife was stabbed into the victim. Exactly, which means it is impossible the button was torn off during the victim's final struggle, because the victim was strangled to death in that fight. That's right, Miss Andrews. There is no way this button was ripped off during the struggle. This button was consciously pulled off the victim's already dead body. Order! Order! What is the meaning? What is the meaning of this, Wright? So what if the button was torn off and the victim already died? What does that change? Let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Edgeworth. Why was the button torn off? What purpose did that serve? What purpose? We now know this button was not torn off during the fight, so the murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip it off the victim's body. That would mean that the murderer had something in mind, wouldn't it? Mr. Wright, does this mean you know what the murderer wanted to do with the button? Oh, to pin it. Easy. There's only one logical reason for doing something like that. It was to pin the crime on Mr. On Guard. There is no way anyone would put a bloodied button on their own pants. That's right. Mr. On Guard was set up by the real killer, of course. Plus, our lovely friend over the train Stever said that it was a setup. And the real murder is... Well, Mr. Wright, who in the world is the killer then? Finally. Can't believe I managed to bring the child all the way up to this point. Phoenix, you can't let your guard down yet. Not until the very end. The real killer, the person who wanted to frame Mr. On Guard is... I'm sorry! Oh, frick. Miss Adrian Andrews. I choose you! You are Mr. Corrida's killer. What? Order! Order! Mr. Wright, this is a very grave matter. Do you have any evidence that supports your charge? Any evidence? All of the evidence points to Miss Andrews. How preposterous! You can't stick any of it on me! I can't, can I? Would you care to test me? Then what about this knife? The knife was used to stab the victim after he had already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion onto Mr. On Guard naturally. The knife covered in the defendant's fingerprints could easily be taken from his room. And the only one who had dinner with him and knew the knife to take was you. Then, what about the button that was found in Matsukama? This button was removed from the victim's body after he'd already died. The only people who could have done so were the person who found his body or the killer. However, if Mr. On-Guard was the real killer, there's no way he would have put such an incriminating evidence in his own Hakama. The only person who could have put this button into Mr. On-Guard's Hakama is the person who went to wake him from his nap, which is you yet again, Miss Andrews. I see. What about the empty guitar case? That is also another piece of evidence that incriminates Miss Andrews. That costume was used to hide the real killer's identity as they fled the crime scene. Now, who could have known that there was just a costume inside the guitar case? Could have been the person who prepared the costume for the victim. And that person is you, Miss Adrian Andrews. No, Miss Andrews' fingerprints are nowhere to be found on the guitar case. And was it you who proved she was not wearing gloves at the time? That's right. That's because she didn't intend on leaving any prints. If anyone had found out she had touched the case, they would have asked her why. She would avoid leaving any prints. She used a towel or something else to open it. But the glass of tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews purposely left her fingerprints on the glass to show that, yes indeed, she was classic dazed discoverer of a dead body. And to top it all off, there's this photo. A photo of the killer as they exited the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on Earth can believe the Nickel Samurai is Mr. On-Guard. He'd be much too short for his own costume if it was him. Speaking of how tall people are, Miss Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, are you not? Please stop. Well, how about it, Miss Andrews? I've got her this time. Miss Andrews? I refuse to testify. What was that? There's a law that says I can't be forced to testify about something. I can't if it can incriminate me. Oh yeah, you're pleading the fifth, are you? Which basically just means you did it. Well, yes, you're absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us with a way to avoid self-incrimination by allowing a witness not to testify testimony that can cause damage to themselves. What? Pleading the fifth is not something most people would think to do on the spot. It actually is something that a lot of people do on the spot. It's actually a thing a lot. Actually, thinking back to yesterday in Mr. On-Guard's room. Adrian Andrews. Yes? Think hard about what we just discussed. Understood? Alright. That's it. That's when Francisca planted the idea into her head. She must have told Miss Andrews not to testify if things looked bad. You did a good job proving everything up to this point, Phoenix. There's the one thing you haven't done. Something I haven't done. What's wrong, Wright? You finished already? Run out of evidence? What is so humorous, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sure you realize this as well, Your Honor, but everything the good lawyer here has proven up to this point is meaningless. What? Everything you have proven is circumstantial. Circumstantial? Yes, circumstantial. You have yet to provide a single piece of definitive proof. Proof that Miss Andrews did in fact harbor a wish to murder Mr. Corrida. Miss Andrews, did you want to kill Mr. Corrida? I believe this may lead to me incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering. But, Miss Andrews, if you do that, it would be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think? Maybe so or maybe not. There is nothing to prove it either way. Besides, you don't even know what crime I'd be guilty of due to my silence. Oh, she's taking that defiant attitude again. Mia, what should we do? Somehow we've landed in the worst possible situation. I think we have reached a certain conclusion at this point of time, as Adrian Andrews has refused to testify. And the defense theory that she is the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid definitive proof. But that's not true. In this situation, there's only one thing this court can do, and that is declare a recess. Recess? I request that both the prosecution and the defendant look further into this matter. And at tomorrow's trial... Tomorrow? We don't have it tomorrow. We don't get a guilty verdict today, then. Please wait, Your Honor. That's not necessary. The trial. Please continue with the trial. What are you sweating for? Your client is getting one more day to live, isn't he? That's not it. This isn't about that. Edgeworth? I know you know who the real killer is. Please, let the trial continue. If I don't get a verdict, then But it's impossible to continue as long as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is... It is not impossible for this trial to continue. Mr. Edgeworth? Tell you, it's true, Miss Andrews holds the right against self-incrimination. However, if the topic of conversation was something unrelated to what she may be guilty of, then she has no right to withhold testimony. Yes, that is very true, but actually there is one little thing that I'm curious about. Miss Andrews, when you found the victim's dead body, you poured yourself a glass of juice. Yes, and I can't help but think of how unnatural that is. Usually, when one finds a body, they are shaken up, not stirring a glass of juice. So my actions were unusual, but I have already... Before you speak, I want you to state that you have a reason behind your actions. I would like you to testify to that effect. Testify? Your Honor, I would like to request the witness testify again as to what happened when she first discovered the victim's body. Whatever we find out in this testimony should in no way implicate the witness. I don't know what it is about Edgeworth today, but I can't get a good read off of him. Is he friend or foe? I just don't know. The court acknowledges the prosecution's request. Miss Andrews, if you please. Does he know about Maya? That'd be interesting. My glass of juice. I didn't really pour it for myself. I was surprised when I walked to the room and saw it in that messy state. And Juan, he was slumped over and tired looking in the corner. When I saw him, I thought that he was dead and it crossed my mind. To be honest, I thought he had fainted or something, so I went to pour him some juice. I realized he was dead, and that's when I knocked the flower vase over. So you poured a glass of juice for the victim. Why didn't you say so in your earlier testimony? I didn't think I needed to include something so trivial. Phoenix, please be careful here. If you can't find anything wrong with this testimony, there's nothing left. I know. Edgeworth, what in the heck is going on in that brain of yours? Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. There wasn't anyone else in the room, right? Of course not. Then who did you pour it for? Mr. Wright, is there a rhyme and reason for everything? Can you just wait a little bit longer for it to be revealed to you? In other words, Wright, be quiet and listen. Precisely. I said it better myself. So it was a mess. Are you sure that it was a mess because of your fight with Mr. Cordita? I understand your frustrations in not being able to prove your theory. However, before you go accusing people of crimes, go find yourself some evidence. And then, what did you see next, witness? Slumped over. Yes, he was just sitting there, with his head tilted forward, eyes closed. It really looked like he was sleeping. It's just me, or does that sound a little odd? Slumped over and tired looking. With a whole knife in his chest, bro. Look at this. And blood everywhere. Yeah, sure. I'm sure he was sleeping. We'll go back to that, though. Then what did cross your mind? I thought that maybe he had smashed everything up in anger because he lost the Grand Prix. Felt tired after his rampage, so I had to take a nap. Anyway, that's what I thought. I see, so you didn't think it was dead at all. You thought he fainted. I thought he was asleep at first, and then the room was in such a messy state. I thought maybe he had gone into a fight with someone, and that's when he went to pour the glass of juice. Yeah, so you always had a hard time waking up. So Juan always has a glass of tomato juice to drink. Sorry. I see, and after that, what happened next? And how did you come to realize that he was in fact dead? I shook him over and over and never got a response. So I set the glass down, addressed him, and tried to take his pulse. I was shocked, staggered backward. Knocked the flower vase over. So that's what happened. Yes. This is what all comes down to. It's the absolute end of both sides, and Adrian is letting her guard down. Phoenix, now is our best chance yet to kill the prosecution's case. Isn't that a bit harsh? Andrews, will you tell us the truth this time? Here's hoping. What? But that totally does. You can't say it doesn't. There's a whole knife in him. Oh my goodness. There's an entire knife in him, and there's blood everywhere. You can't tell me that you couldn't have seen and thought he wasn't dead. I don't buy that for a second. Goodness gracious. Look at this. Maybe autopsy report? No. Dude. There's no way you could go into that room and think that thought he had just fainted. Oh, there it is. Okay, wrong dialogue. So you honestly didn't think he was dead when you found him? No, not at all. Even though this is what you saw when you discovered the body? A whole knife in him? What is the meaning of this? Isn't it obvious, Your Honor? There is a knife sticking straight out of Mr. Corita's chest. Anyone who saw this scene would have immediately thought that here was a dead man. Well, you see, I doubt a single person in the world will mistake this for someone who fainted, and then go nonchalantly go pour something to drink. Your point is, Miss Andrews, your testimony now is all one giant lie. And your lie has proven one thing very clearly, that you are the real killer. We're back to this again, are we? It looks like the defense has somehow brought the ugly truth to light. The defendant, Matt on God, is not guilty after all. But that's impossible. You're wrong. Miss Andrews, try to have some composure. It wasn't me. It wasn't me, I tell you. It was Matt. I swear, he's the one who killed Juan. But you were the one who refused to testify, and your reason for not doing so is that you might end up incriminating yourself. That's because, Miss Andrews, I will give you one last chance. What exactly are you hiding that may incriminate you? I refuse to testify. We're back to this again. And there is no need for the court to continue any further. Mr. Matt on God's innocence has been clearly demonstrated. Is it over? Have we finally found the truth at last? What's wrong, Phoenix? Usually the real killer confesses the guilt. And now that I think about it, this is the first time someone hasn't. Now then, I would like to hand over my own verdict for Mr. Matt on God. Oh, come on, Edgeworth. Your Honor, the prosecution feels it'd be premature to pass on a verdict at this time. What? What? The reason is quite simple. This witness has yet to speak the absolute real truth. You have got to be joking with me! The absolute real truth? What are you, witness? Don't you understand yet? Huh? I don't know who planted this silly idea into your head, but as long as you protect yourself through your silence, Matt will go free, and in his place, you will become the guilty party. That's a lie. I don't believe you. What? I was told if I spoke, then it would be over. Matt would never be declared guilty. What in the world is he talking about? I can't speak about it. I'm too scared. It's Francisca von Karma. Huh? Don't you remember, Phoenix? Miss Andrews lives by gripping tightly onto the words of others. Because she doesn't believe she has the strength to believe in herself. And right now, Miss Andrews is. Yesterday, she was tossed a lifesaver by Mrs. Von Karma. Don't say a word, no matter what happens. If you do, Matt will be acquitted. Miss Andrews undyingly believes in those words and is clinging on to them. What should we do? It doesn't ever cross anything like this. Miss Andrews has to be the killer, right? All we have to do now is not get our guilty, and that's our only priority. wasn't me. I'm begging you. Please believe me. I didn't kill Juan. Help, please. Someone help me. Mr. Wright? Yes, Your Honor. The court can't continue like this, therefore I'd like to hear what you intend to do. What I intend to do? What am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to say? Right? I suggest you think very carefully about this. Think about what this witness did and what she did not do. And think about who the real mastermind behind this crime. The real mastermind, isn't that obvious? There's no one else could be except for the woman crying over there, right? Come on now. What would you do? What kind of man are you, Mr. Phoenix Wright? Call me crazy, but my job is to get a not guilty verdict. Like, my only goal is to prove Matt is not guilty. I don't have to have Andrews testify. I could just say not guilty and be done. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could just say not guilty and be over. But then you say, what kind of man are you? And that implies that I just press on, but see, I either do what the game wants me to do, or I either do what I want to do. So I'm gonna start with what I want to do, and just get it over with. Because Maya's life is in danger. I'm gonna save her. Alright, that's what I want to do. I just want Matt to not be guilty. No matter what she says, Miss Andrews is the only person it could be. Not to mention, I don't have a choice. I have to win a complete acquittal today. Your Honor, the defense believes there is enough evidence to substantiate our claim. Therefore, we motion that this court pass a verdict of not guilty as soon as possible. I'm disappointed in you, Wright. What have you learned this past year? What have I learned? That I want to get Maya not dead. That's enough. I commend you for trying, Mr. Edgeworth. However, it is clear the defense's theory is the truth. You're wrong. Oh my goodness. What do you want, Edgeworth? What a shame. I'd hoped things wouldn't come to this, however. What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? Miss Andrews, since you absolutely refuse to testify, it falls on my shoulders to disclose this to the court. Stop. Mr. Edgeworth? This witness, how should I put it? She has an illness. What? And because of this illness, she has tried to commit suicide in the past. Stop, please. No matter how much you want to hide it, it's no use. I have the evidence right here. But that's the second part of the suicide report, the attempted suicide report. What will you do now, witness? You know what I'm about to do, don't you? I will now reveal to the court the true nature of the pitiful woman known as Adrian Andrews. The secret of her dependent nature. All the other people know about it scares them more than anything else in the world. Please stop, I beg you. If people find out, I'll... If you're going to say you would choose death, that is no concern to me. Andrew, how can you be so cold? However, before you die, I will pull the truth from your still breathing lips, no matter what I have to do. So will you tell this court yourself, or shall I? Either is fine with me. I'll talk. Please, just help me. Nothing matters anymore. When I first saw him, I thought he had fainted, honest. When I realized he was dead, that's when I formulated my plan. Once I made sure no one was in the hallway, I made a dash back to Matt's room. I stabbed Juan's dead body with a knife and ripped off the button. And just when I finished, I was returning to Matt's room and I had a bit of an inconvenience, and that's why I ended up using the Nickel Samurai costume. Stabbed the body with a knife, but why would you do that? Isn't it obvious to pin the blame on a certain person? A certain cowardly man. What do you mean by all of this? It might take this court a little while to understand, but... this is the truth. The real killer is Matt. Scumbag of a man. I'll never forgive him. He's trying to escape his guilt again just like last time. Last time? So, Miss Andrews stabbed the victim, Juan Corrida, in the chest with a knife. However, she didn't do it with the murder in mind. She did it with the intent of framing Matt for murder. And this is her crime. is this possible? I mean, wasn't Miss Angel supposed to be the real murderer? Mr. Wright, please get over your shock and commence the cross-examination. Well, now this, is interesting. Okay. What the heck? This is so weird. But you could tell from the state the room was in that there must have been a fight. Are you telling the truth? Are you telling the truth when you say that you did not know he was dead? He had a scarf tied around his neck, but that scarf was part of the Gem Ninja's costume, so I didn't think anything about it was strange. His head was also tilted down a bit, so I couldn't see his face that well. That's why I thought I'd wake him up and went to pour the juice. What is this plan you had? And right away the murder was Matt. I knew because Juan he was going to expose Matt's weakest weak point to the world. So Matt did this to stop Juan and silence him for good. That's when I thought I should forge some evidence to pin this crime on Matt. So the forged pieces of evidence were the knife and the button. The first thing that came to mind was to play the knife. That was so you could get the knife, correct? The knife Matt used all over it had his fingerprints all over it. I thought if I used that, then the police would certainly turn their eyes towards him. Matt was napping with his costume on at the time. I slipped in, took the knife, and returned to the scene of the crime. And then I stabbed Juan's dead body with the knife and ripped off the button. Yeah, we get the idea. So you were the one to stab the victim with the knife. It gives me goosebumps to think what a horrible thing I did. By the time I couldn't control my own body, it moved on its own. And when I stabbed Juan's dead body, I suddenly realized something. If I use the button somehow, I can make Matt look even more suspect. I'm about to rip one of the buttons off and plant it to Mr. On Guard's Hakama. Yes, that's what I planned to do, but things never go that way smoothly, do they? An inconvenience. There was a woman with the camera in the hallway, loitering in the hallway. Only by my spikes, it was Lotta. There was also a woman with a ray gun, pacing back and forth. That's Miss Oldbag. I had already been caught and made into a big scoop for a certain weekly tabloid once, so I couldn't very well go out looking like myself and get caught again. You were the one who prepared that costume, weren't you? Yes, I took it from Global Studios, and I put it into Juan's guitar case the day before the awards ceremony. You did this in preparation for the press conference, correct? Yes, Juan wanted to wear that costume and hold the press conference in it. He was going to disclose Matt's big secret there. And what is this secret? That I don't know. Anyway, I thought if I were to leave Juan's room in the Nico Samurai costume, then people would think that Matt was a real murderer. I was very careful to leave any fingerprints when I opened the guitar case, and I absolutely did not want anyone to know about the costume. I think we've heard enough. So, after you went to Mr. On Guard's room, you planted the button. Into Matt's Akama, yes. And after that, I folded up the costume I was wearing and put it into a bag. And I snuck out of the hotel and got rid of it. My word, does this all mean... Mr. Edgeworth, is it... The real criminal is Matt. Yesterday, the woman prosecutor sat me down for a talk. Francisca, huh? She said that I should under no circumstances confess what I had done. That if I just kept quiet, then Matt would be found guilty for sure. I had no choice but to believe in her words. What this witness done is clearly unlawful. However, as long as the testimony stands, we can be certain she is not the real killer. Wait, Your Honor, the defense still... Right. It's pointless. At this point, it is not possible to indict Miss Angels on anything. Yes, exactly. There isn't a single piece of evidence that points her as the murderer. The cross-examination is over, and so is today's trial. You couldn't establish that the witness was the culprit, so please let it go, Mr. Wright. But... Mr. Edgeworth, please place Miss Andrews under arrest for further questioning. Understood, Your Honor. The prosecution will arrange for detention immediately. That is all. Court is adjourned for today. Is he... What? Huh? Today's trial is over. I didn't win an acquittal. Witness, would you mind if I ask you something? Edgeworth? What is it? Before you leave court today, I wondered if I might look at one more thing. That card in your hand. I had my interest in it for quite some time now. What exactly is it? Oh, this? Mr. Wright also asked about this. Although I didn't remember at the time you asked me about it, Mr. Wright. I remember just now. I found this in the room on that day. The room that day. Yes. I found this card when I discovered Juan's body. It was lying there right next to him. You found that card next to the victim's body? I suppose I suppose it must have unconsciously slipped down into my pocket. But it's not as if this card has any relevance to Juan's murder, right? Yeah, I guess not, but still a strange card if you ask me. As for a clue, what's the case? I don't see why. Witness! That card! Give it to me! Hurry! Edgeworth? Do you have any idea what you would have stupidly and inadvertently done? This. I can't believe you hid this from me all this time! I didn't mean to. What is this all about? I've never seen Edgeworth so emotional before. That card, what in the world does it mean? To be continued. So is Maya gonna be killed? 3-1 investigation. March 22nd, 524. It's still the same day. Mystic Maya! Oh boy. We're gonna come back to that tomorrow. So hope you guys enjoyed Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.